Mousetrap is a new horror slasher film that is now available to check out on VOD and is also available on physical media on DVD and Blu-ray. And to be honest, guys, you guys better strap in because this one, it's rough, it's bumpy, it sucks. It's Alex's 21st birthday, but she's stuck at the amusement arcade on a late shift, so her friends decide to surprise her. But a masked killer dressed as Mickey Mouse decides to play a game of his own with them which she must survive. The film stars Simon Phillips, Sophie McIntosh, James Laurin, Damir Kovic, Allegra Nocita, Ben Harris, Mackenzie Mills, and many others, and was directed by Jamie Bailey, and he's done one other film I've seen before called De-Influencer. The Mousetrap, I remember a couple pictures and just them talking about this movie back in March, and honestly I didn't watch a trailer for it. I honestly forgot about it. I wasn't sure if this movie was going to come to theaters or what really happened to it, and then one day I was looking what's going to come out on physical media, and I saw that this was coming to physical media next week, and then I actually watched this movie a few days prior because I saw it was on VOD and I was like, okay, so what am I going to really expect with this? Not really much. I didn't really think this movie is going to be like Oscar worthy or anything like really great, but honestly I did not expect this movie to be as bad as it was. I'll start off by saying the story here. You have two detectives, you have Cole and Marsh. They're in this jail cell and they're interviewing this girl. I'm going to call her the Dollar Tree Jenna Ortega here. She's dressed as a gothic girl. She is telling the narration of this story of apparently a bunch of people that got massacred at this arcade called Fun Haven. We get introduced to Fun Haven. We see a bunch of teenagers that are hanging out at this arcade. We have a bunch of workers that have to stay overtime and stay late, and they're celebrating this girl's birthday. The manager named Mr. Collins, he is there as well, and he ends up going to this back room in which he is watching this projector of Steamboat Willie. And I guess the only way to say this is I guess he gets possessed and he decides that he's going to put on the Mickey Mouse mask and he's going to go on a rampage and kill everybody at this birthday celebration at the arcade. Now, normally I always start off with positives, and the only positive that I can really say about this movie is I do think that the on-set location of the arcade is not bad. That actually works, I think, for this film. I think the mask of Mickey really isn't that bad, but I think the problem is the mask, it doesn't necessarily cover the face fully of this man that's doing these killings, and it's very obvious that it's the manager doing these killings, obviously because like his beard is hanging out of the mask. So on that front, yeah, kind of a positive, but at the same time, kind of a negative. Now let's get into the negatives. Now, I knew I was doomed when this movie first started out because it first comes up like you're in space, kind of like Star Wars, and it shows the yellow writing exactly like Star Wars. They have music in the background that is very reminiscent of Star Wars, and they start talking about like the public domain and trying to make fun of it and such like that, and having like a bunch of words like scroll up really slow, exactly like Star Wars. And then it goes into the movie, and as the movie is going along, the first thing that you would think out of this movie is, okay, it's a slasher movie, so there's going to be some decent kills, right? Not exactly. This movie is 76 minutes, and it takes an hour before we get any on-screen kill that we actually see. Mickey here is very weird because there are times in here where he can actually teleport, and I was like, how the heck could he do that? The only way to really make him go away if he's hunting you is to take your flashlight and have it flashing around like a strobe light, and then he disappears. The characters here are pretty generic. You've seen these before. You have the jock, the sensitive guy, the popular girl, the girl that likes to have sex a lot. All these characters here you don't really care about. The acting here isn't very good, though I think throughout this film with Mickey really chasing them around, I think they should have called this the drunk trap, because there's a lot of parts in here where Mickey is running around and he's trying to catch these different teenagers, and he's tripping, he's falling, and there's even parts in here with the acting, like I said, with it not being very good, where I think the characters just don't show any emotion or don't really care. For instance, there is a blonde that's obviously being chased by Mickey, and when she's getting chased by Mickey, he obviously is really clumsy and falls down. They're chasing each other throughout this like jungle gym, or like part of like a play area where kids would play, and Mickey, he trips and falls, and the girl slides down the slide, and she's panicking, and she's like, hey guys, Mickey is coming for us. We have this guy that's trying to slash and kill us. And they just go, oh, like, they've had this happen before, like something that happens on the regular. They don't really care all that much or really show any emotion. I was like, who is directing these people to how to act and just, create some tension, because there's like no tension. It never feels like they have any fear of this guy that's on the loose. I mean, they don't know who this person actually is that's going after them. So it's just really interesting how they really went with that direction. I also wrote down a couple lines in here because the dialogue here is absolutely terrible, and I'm going to read them really quick. So the first scene that I'll read is you have this couple that is about to have sex in this jungle gym, and you have the girl that says, "Do you have protection?" And the guy goes, "I don't have any." He goes, "Relax, I'm clean." And she goes, "Well, maybe I'm not." And then he pulls out a condom really quick, and she goes, "You're unbelievable." And he goes, "Thank you." They make out, and then they go, hello, stop, who goes there?" And then all of a sudden she screams in a very high-pitched scream, and it feels like she just pretty much killed the microphone. And then it just fades to black, and we never even finish the scene. And you have a lot of scenes like that within the first hour of this film, in which Mickey is chasing people. We think we're going to get like a cool kill or slashing kill there, and it doesn't happen. Another line that really made me laugh, and I had to just laugh at the fact that this was actually written on paper and given to these actors and actresses to actually say. So you have the blonde that comes back, obviously reports that Mickey is coming to get them. And so they're going to go on this mission to apparently find a landline and maybe call the police. So as they're going to try to find this landline, they're like, "Oh, let's split up." And the one guy goes, "Haven't you seen any horror movie ever?" And the girl goes, "No, Marcus, I have a sex life." And I was like, who gave this dialogue for these characters to actually read? It just seems like when they came up with this movie, they had no direction as to how they want to write this dialogue. The story itself is just absolutely terrible. Mickey here. There's parts in here where he's messing with our characters. There's a scene where you have this girl who is playing on this VR set, and he keeps messing with her, and he's taking his knife and he's putting it towards her throat, and he keeps disappearing, teleporting, coming back again. And I was like, this is just a funny scene. There's another scene too where like the audio, where they're chasing through this jungle gym, and like when you're a little kid, and like at like Burger King or McDonald's, they have those little tunnels, and when you yell in those tunnels, it echoes. Well, the audio here echoes as Mickey is chasing this girl and she's screaming, and it almost breaks the mic, which is the second time in this film where it almost feels like the mic is broken, because it's like the audio is so close to that mic. To make matters worse, the ending of this film is absolutely terrible and not thought out whatsoever. So remember I said the Dollar Tree Jenna Ortega girl is narrating this film with the two detectives. We never revisit them again within this last scene, and we never really finish the story, really, because the last scene is Mickey here. He cuts off this girl's head, and one of the guys goes, "I never got to ask her out," and he just cut her head off. And Mickey teleports and the screen goes black. So we never know exactly what happens with the rest of these teenagers' fates. I thought that with the Dollar Tree Jenna Ortega girl, I thought she was the only survivor. And there's other survivors here besides her. So what actually happened, and what role did she actually play in this whole Mickey thing? And again, did he actually get possessed by watching Steamboat Willie? I still don't know. So the ending of this film doesn't make sense. The story's bad. The dialogue's bad. There's nobody that can act in here. And other than the setting and kind of the way that Mickey looks, that's really all I can say that's really good about this film. It's definitely not worth your time, and it's definitely the worst film of the year that I've seen, now in first place. For a while, it was this film called Camp Pleasant Lake, but now we have The Mousetrap. So I think you guys know what kind of score I'm going to give this. I'm going to give it a 0.5 star out of 5. Completely avoid this like the plague unless you just want to watch a bad movie, because it's definitely not worth your time. If you have checked this movie out, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. I think it's funny because IMDb has a 2.5 out of 10 for this film, which horror anyway has bad scores on IMDb, but that is exceptionally low. And then Letterboxd has a 1.7 out of 5, which is very low. Even for films that aren't that great, at least get a 2. And this is under a 2. So you know that this film is not worth your time. Let me know down in the comments if you have watched this. What did you guys think about this? What was the funniest part, I guess, about this movie? That's the best thing I could say, because there's not really anything good. If you did like it, I definitely want to know why you liked it. Definitely would love to hear if anybody has an opposing views to this movie and actually loving it. But anyway, thank you guys for watching as always, and I will see you guys next time.